Hey nerdies, English Dave here. Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Something to Marvel About. We're going to talk about the second episode of WandaVision. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Raven and Rocket Mike. Let's get into it. We're going to episode 2. The synopsis is as follows. In an effort to fit in, Wanda and Vision perform a magic act in their community talent show. But let's go into what actually happened. We jump slightly forward to a 1960s style setting, and you notice the world is more filled out. Episode 1, it was just a couple of houses. Episode 2, now there's detail. So it plays again to like Wanda's magic kind of filling in some more within this world. For whatever reason it's there, we see more of it. And even little things, Raven, we get little things like the cinematography is slightly updated because we're in a new era, right? Different camera angles, not just the two-camera setup. You get close-ups, you get outdoors.
Yeah, the wide shots in episode 2 are sick.
Exactly.
You know, you get some nice landscapes, you get some really nice, you get a wide aspect ratio. You get a lot more, I would say, complex compositions, in the second episode. You have a lot more, not necessarily backdrops, but you have a lot more happening both in the foreground and the background, and a lot of moving parts, which I loved. I loved seeing, the ladies of the town, you know? Because it's typical, but it's pretty funny. I feel like if you grew up in any suburb, there's always that group, of ladies.
It's funny because this show is also it's really a low-key homage to TV through the eras, because everything evolves with it, right? It's like more people, different things coming, more depth and nuance moving up with it. Even little things like, it opening with, maybe you touched on this at the beginning, with Wanda and Vision sleeping in their twin separate beds. But then by the end of the episode, it's pulled in.
It used to blow my mind with I Love Lucy when I was a kid. I used to be like, but they're married. It was just weird. It's eerie.
Who cares? Who's watching?
Yeah, you're married.
Oh, we are.
You know what I'm saying? And for me, it was weird. It was at the time too. It's I sleep in the same bed as my little sister. This shit is. You know what I'm saying? That's. You just share beds. Why do you have 2 whole separate beds in the same room?
With a dresser in between, dresser drawers in between, just to make sure.
That's weird. And I felt like even my cousins and I, when we had separate beds at sleepovers, you push them together.
Right?
So it was a weird thing. It was how are a husband and wife sleeping in separate beds? But it's that's how things were. Apparently it was inappropriate. It gave the wrong idea. Can't have married couples, fornicating, having babies.
They have babies with the storks. Here. Okay, the storks.
Yeah, the storks.
That goes in the whole sex education system in America. I was like, we don't just shield sex away from them. Don't tell them anything about it. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, they're having babies at 15.
Meanwhile, the ones saying don't do it, the ones having the sex all the time, right?
Exactly.
Literally doing it completely wrong. No ideas.
Right. But this was a big deal. This is homage to that transition. It was a period, the 60s is when that transition happened, where TV shows started showing couples together.
I guess that was a big deal in the Brady Bunch.
Huge deal.
Because I used to fuck with the Brady Bunch, but it made sense that they slept in the same bed.
Right.
It was common sense. Was that the 70s or was it the 60s?
It was the late 60s, mid to late 60s. Yeah, that's when the transition started happening.
It was a thing.
Right. We get the Bewitched style intro. WandaVision. I like that.
At first I was lazy. But now I'm all right.
All right, you keep saying WandaVision.
I was you're just going to say the same word 30 times? You can do better than this.
I wonder if the intro will be different each episode, evolve.
That would be amazing. I hope so. Because I want it to get better. I don't love it yet.
Right.
But then I'm going to get mad if there is a specific episode that's my favorite and then
it don't go back. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in the animation of this episode. A lot of Easter eggs, at least, that the hardcore fans will notice. There's one showing the Grim Reaper, which is actually a villain. Again, Wanda is essentially she has magical witch type powers. So a lot of her villains kind of deal with that world, like the occult or Grim Reaper, Mephisto, the devil. There's one line that someone says, "The devil's in the details," and then I think it's Agnes that says, "And that's not only place he hides." And it's oh, what does that line mean?
Agnes knows something.
She knows something. There's also a hint at Simon Williams. Simon Williams in the comic is also known as Wonder Man. And in the comics, Vision's brain patterns were copied off of Simon Williams as part of Vision's comic origin. We also get a hint at a character called Bova. We see Bova Milk. Bova it's I won't go into it. It's
Such
weird.
a weird character.
Weird comics history. It's an actual cow that gave birth, that helped nurse and birth Wanda. It's a thing. And this we get into it more. Agatha Harkness. Agatha Harkness is an actual witch who was around in the MCU during the era of the witch burnings and all that stuff, and Salem witch hangings. And she's still around, and she has a lot to do with Wanda's story in the comics. She's constantly either working with or against Wanda somehow, but she's always connected. And a lot of people think Agnes is Agatha Harkness. If you take Agatha Harkness, Agnes Harkness, see what Marvel could be doing there. But Raven, I want to talk about the cinematography and wardrobe of this show. I like that they get a chance to evolve it over through the eras. As someone who's into cinematography, what do you think of the job they've done with creating this world, an evolving world, in fact?
Well, I honestly love it. I think that a era piece done well is one that you don't notice, and I feel like everything in the show is so seamless and so natural that it almost feels as if it were shot, however long ago, 60 years ago. So I do love the cinematography. I think the wardrobe is insane, beautiful. I love all the women's dresses. I love the comment about her pants because it's something that I didn't think about. Where they're like, oh, you're supposed to show up in your your lunch or Sunday best or something like that, in your dress, and then they like look at her in the pants, or even the comment with her friend was like, it's too late for that girl, and the judgment, that women got back, at that time for pants. But I'm watching it thinking that's a cute little outfit.
You're right.
I'm not thinking about the pants. So
right.
I do love subtle things like that. Not only that the wardrobe is up to date, but they even comment on the fact that in the moments that it's not, and the fact that there would be a conversation about it. And in terms of cinematography, I really love the camera work, especially now in episode 2 that we're out of, I think 4:3 ratio. Now that we're on 16:9, you get that beautiful wide framing. And now I can actually appreciate the actual art of the show. The subtle hints of color now is what I'm really excited for, because normally when you go from black and white, that means that towards the end of the show, we're going to have super vibrant colors, which I'm super excited about. And I know that this show has a crazy budget. So I'm excited for like what the eras are going to open up in terms of color and contrast.
The next day, talking about color, the next day, Wanda sees in the bushes a little toy helicopter colored red and yellow with the SWORD logo again on it. Wanda's curious and she's starting to kind of investigate it, but is distracted by Agnes. And again, I think Agnes knows more, calls her, you're the star of the show. And my theory is I think Agnes and the postman are my people I'm looking at. Agnes and the postman. Never trust the fucking postman. Okay.
We all know this from Truman Show.
Right. You never trust
she was checking him out. Agnes was checking him out. You can't trust it.
Right. But before they can get into all that, Agnes asks Wanda to join her the committee, which is being run by Dottie, and warns her that Dottie is the queen of the cul-de-sac. And but at the same time, Wanda's also introduced to Geraldine, which is our first look at Tiana Paris as Geraldine, and our friendship starts to be created between Wanda and Geraldine, which I think will be developed further on in the narrative.
I'm excited for this friendship.
Right?
That's a down-ass friend.
Right?
I can feel it.
But also,
they're almost
again,
too similar, where it's like, how is it that she is so alike to Wanda? And it's kind of like,
almost as if she's planted there to be her.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking, because also seeing that helicopter, I don't think of vehicles in the same way in small packs ever since Ant-Man. So I was like, I don't know. That could
right. And also, I think there's a kind of like a subtext, with this scene with all the women. Wanda's trying to fit in. She's even looking at Dottie, the way Dottie's acting. Wanda's trying to act the same to be this perfect.
Dottie's the worst. The actress does it so well because I hate her.
Right, and the queen of the cul-de-sac. But also, I feel like it also touches on issues of race because. Geraldine, she's the only black woman there. She knows what it feels like to not fit in and be judged. So I think that's one of the reasons why the two of them kind of connect. It's like a bit of subtext there. We hear a radio transmission again. again, something is trying to break through. We hear, who's doing this to you, Wanda? Who's doing this to you? Who's trying to break through? We don't know. And again, this is my reminder that as much as something is happening to Wanda, I feel like there's a level of control that Wanda has, in the sense of Wanda doesn't want, like when you know something's wrong but you don't want to look because you're happy, and you know that once you look you're going to be sad. I think that's what she's doing, because if you pay attention, once Wanda is being transfixed into the transmission, she's kind of losing her attention. And I think what happens is Dottie breaks out of a trance for a moment. And I think it shows that Wanda's controlling that trance. So because when it stops, Dottie breaks the glass and she gets blood on her hand and she almost snaps back. Yeah. So when she snaps out and snaps back.
Red blood.
And she acts like she hasn't, there's like no pain either.
None at all.
She doesn't wince.
But that's
she's
the
not
thing.
like, oh, let me help myself,
Similar to like in episode 1 where Mr. Hart was choking. Mm-hmm. It was a similar thing where these people go from for Mr. Hart, a near-death experience, and then for Dottie, a serious injury, to go from that to
it's okay,
everything's good, all right, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's what that actually touched on it. Last Action Hero, that fictional characters do not feel pain, and it goes right back into that principle of like, okay, like we're back. Action, now we're in character, and it's like, oh, I just got like red paint on my hand. I don't feel it. This doesn't really happen. She doesn't even really hardly acknowledge it. It's just kind of like, oh, what an inconvenience. I'm just wipe this away.
Right. And Mike, you touched on it earlier, the copter. There's a theory going around that Geraldine is actually a sword agent and came in, and that helicopter, Wanda somehow, her powers affected the helicopter crash landed, appeared as a toy, because even Geraldine, she's like, how the fuck did I get here?
Yeah. And that could have been the thing that was outside. She's like, what, Vision was like, what was that out there? They saw a light.
Like, what's going on?
Heard something.
What's going on? Meanwhile, Vision joins the Neighborhood Watch, thinking, because again, Vision's curiosity is being piqued, so he wants to join the Neighborhood Watch to kind of figure out, what's going on, to kind of keep an eye on everything. And then realizes that the Neighborhood Watch is just a group for the guys to gossip about stuff. In fact, they get mad.
Hilarious. I was cracking up. They're the ones gossiping.
Right? They get mad when they think. They get mad when they think he wants to work. They're like, oh, this guy wants to work.
So you were uptight.
Right?
Jerry's a communist.
Right? I love
You're
that.
so funny. I was like, oh.
He's like, no. I looked in his profile. He's seriously anti-American. Like, what? Oh,
back then, people could die back then for that. It's dangerous. Vision.
Right. And they gave him some big red gum. Again, the red motif keeps on going in this thing. It's big red. It's not a coincidence. That's specifically big red gum. I see. And I like.
As soon as they said that, my eyes started to tear up. I was like, wow,
you felt the
good old big red. Hit you right there in the nose.
Opens up.
I like the visual.
Like a woodcock machine.
I like the visual of the camera zooming in to show Vision's inside getting clogged up.
That was cute.
Cool.
It was so like
that's
so
cool.
60s.
I was reminded of my cartoon eras and
it reminded me of the Bewitched intro.
Right,
It was like that simple animation.
Like simple but effective. You get the point across, and
it made complete sense to me.
Right, complete sense. We also get another ad, and this time we get Strucker again. Those who pay attention, Von Strucker is one of the ones.
I was like, hell, Hydra.
He is one of the Hydra agents, and he worked with the Mind Stone to experiment on Wanda and her brother to give her powers. So again, if you look at the links between the two commercials, maybe the commercials are showcasing Wanda's trauma. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what future commercials we get, but.
True, she was a little Strucker experiment.
Yeah, she was. We see a drunk Vision, and they go and do the magic tricks. And I love drunk Vision to like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do my real magic. And then Wanda's like, no, I'm gonna fake it magic.
It's like, you can't.
I love drunk magic. Real.
Yeah.
And every second she has to like pull something so people won't believe it.
Like they're so shocked.
It's actually magic within itself, right? Which is hilarious because she flattened a piano.
Right, and the guy's like, "Hey, but that's my
my grandma's piano."
That was the best joke in it.
But I did like that whole play of like Vision just using his real powers, and she's just like tricking. They're like, oh, oh, there's the rope.
I see the string.
Oh, the string. Okay.
Ah, I get it. It's so stupid. But and then again, another subtle hint for the children. For the children. This is going to come up again throughout the whole.
For the children is interesting to me because I almost feel like for the children is the justification as to why she's in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we're keeping the children safe, keep her
not just
sedated.
That. No, I think it's
and
more
the
than
twins.
That. I think it's that. I think again throughout the first 2 episodes, Agnes has been pushing her to kind of sexy time with her man, and I think
so do you
for
think
the children,
trying to breed her
for some reason, again there is comic precedence.
Experiment on her?
There is comic precedence for it with the character of Agatha Harkness and the twins. There is I won't go into it because I don't want to fulfill.
I hope they fix it because it gets weird.
It does get very weird. Mike, what did you think of Drunk Vision? Though I think Paul Bettany got a chance to really.
I'm so glad we got a chance to see another side of him because for a very long time in the MCU, he's been, this robot, this very, facts only with a little bit of dry humor, but it has been just like cut and dry. And then it was only into like Infinity War when you start to see like more of like personal side and he's starting to connect with Wanda. And this one is just like, fuck it, balls to the wall. He's being very slapstick and loose and everything. It was great to see a whole nother side, especially for the actor to just open up and try something new, but within the context of his original character. I thought that was a lot of fun.
No, I think Paul Bettany could have something then doing a physical comedy in movies. Like do some straight comedies, man. Like
I realized he's actually very funny. Like
right?
He's a great comedic actor.
Right? Like
which I do want to see him in more comedic roles.
Not romantic comedies, just straight comedy.
No.
Yeah.
I want to see him do a straight
just
comedy.
Just like a bro comedy or something.
Right?
I just feel like it would be hilarious too, because even just his stature, his accent, and then like with his
his demeanor, the way he talks. Yeah.
If you've ever seen A Knight's Tale, he's hilarious in that.
So
actually.
funny in that. Actually.
Yeah.
The episode ends with us thinking, okay, they're just chilling at home, but then we hear a noise outside. They go to investigate, and we see a man in a bee suit covered in bees, and with the sword logo on his jacket. I thought it was AIM at first. We've been introduced to AIM in Iron Man 3. Advanced Ideas Mechanics. That's what AIM stands for. They're usually Iron Man villains, and their suits are usually beekeeper type looking suits. However, the sword logo on the back of the suit makes me think, well, that's something else. I don't understand why it's bees, but Wanda doesn't want to give enough time for Vision to understand either, so she rewinds time after saying, no, I ain't doing that. Rewinds time. That moment starts again, but this time her and Vision kiss, the world turns to color, and she is pregnant. And those who know the comics, and you've seen in some of the trailers, she does give birth to twins who in the comics are powered as well.
I feel like that's one of the first hints that we get that she kind of controls or knows her manipulative abilities.
Oh, yeah.
So far, granted, we've seen her like move things and she's admitted to being able to move things with her mind or whatever. But this is the first time we've seen her kind of like erase or evade or like create a parallel situation to hers. So I'm like, it's interesting to see like, so she does have some type of control.
Exactly. And again, it's hinted out throughout the episode. Again, if you pay attention, you're right. This is the most obvious moment. But the moments throughout where she says to Vision, help him. That her tone changes, or even moments when before they kiss, when she's saying to Vision, early in the episode when she's saying to Vision, I want this to work. I want this world to work. She has moments where she kind of like breaks the reality to kind of be honest. And you're right. This is the moment where she's, as the audience, we see it full form, where she's running away. Next era. Let's move away from this era. This is where the guy's coming. Let's move to the next era. Oh, look, we're pregnant. Yeah, let's focus on that instead. But again, I think it's also part of the manipulation going on with Agnes's character, because she seemed to want to push for babies. Again, if you look at the newspapers, there's little hints. The newspapers they're reading, it says, have a family, make a baby. Little things throughout the whole episode that when you watch more and more, you start to notice, which, again, I'm looking forward to in future episodes.
Pressure's too much. Just let people be married.
Right, exactly. Again, but that's what I said earlier on, right? Earlier on in the podcast, that it touches on expectations for gender and the roles you're supposed to do at certain times, because that's how the era was. And here's a fun little fact as well. Someone put on the internet I saw. Maybe one of the reasons why she's created the world she's created is this television show, because like many immigrants who immigrate to America, you grew up watching American TV, right? You're like, and that's what America is to you. Someone said maybe that's why the town she's in is called Westview. It's her view of the West. Mm-hmm. Either way, I'm sure we will get answers over the next many episodes we've got left over. What are your thoughts on this few episodes? Are you in it like the rest of us, or are you? I know some people who are like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I think the issue is, one, you just gotta let it play out. This is only episode 2. Maybe if you're confused by the end of the season, we can have a conversation. But trust Marvel. A friend of mine asked me, I was so confused, it's weird. I'm like, come back to me when the season ends. I guarantee you won't be confused with the first 2 episodes. Yep. Sometimes the confusion is on purpose. You're supposed to be as confused as Vision is. What is going on? Where's this world? What's going on here? Where are we? I don't understand. Mm-hmm. That's where the characters are at. And that's where we're supposed to be at. And slowly, as the characters understand what's going on, we will understand what's going on. And I think, like I said earlier on the podcast, I think that unraveling will pick up pace. I think we're not going to see full episode in black and white anymore. I think that's just the first episode and a half. I think from now on it's all color. I say if you're going to make the most of long form storytelling, make the most of it. Don't rush it. That's why we have long form, and it's not a movie. There's a reason why this isn't a movie. On that note, let us know your thoughts. Let us know your questions. Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. Thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rocket Mike.
Thank you.
My name is English Dave. This has been a Nerdy Bunch production of Something to Marvel About. And as always, Raven.
Keep it nerdy. Peace.
Peace.